Hello, welcome to another episode of Travel Talk. So, this week was a very short week. We had MLK Day on Monday, so the week unfortunately still went by very slow. Even though we had a day off, those are like the longest weeks. But yesterday we had a field trip, so we wound up going to our Performing Arts Center to see The Wiz, and the students did a really good job that have been working on it. I thought it was cool. They incorporated some aspects of like pop culture in it, so you could tell it was relevant for children their age, and it was just super cute. Like, I enjoyed it. Yeah, they did a good job, so that was okay for a Friday. They're thinking it's gonna be a winter storm this weekend, so everybody was kind of out of it on Friday anyway. So I'm glad that we had a field trip because no work would have been done regardless if we being real. So yeah, that was cool. And then we're gonna see if we have school on Monday, depending on if we have ice or anything. And yeah, I'm still rocking and rolling because I don't think that anything's gonna happen until Sunday night. Like, they were scared about Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I'm like, okay, but if you look at the weather, there are no freezing temperatures for Saturday. So I'm like, that doesn't really make sense, guys. Like, temperatures and numbers matter. So yeah. But anywho, we went on a field trip, and then afterwards we went to the mall for a meal stop. And they are so excited about going to the food court and getting food. Like, that's most people's selling point over the actual field trip, which is funny to me. So I always do my little spiel before we go into the mall. And a lot of the kids have learned how I am. Some of them, it clicks for them pretty easy, and other people, I kind of got to get them together. But everybody knows, like, Miss Griffin is fun. She gonna joke with you. She cares about you. She loves you. But some things are non-negotiable. She does not play about. So, like, talking when I'm talking, I do not like that. I tell them I feel disrespected, and that's when I want to get disrespectful. So I'm not really a talker like that, for real, and I don't speak loud because I'm a vocalist. So you need to listen, and when I talk, it's because it's something important that I'm saying. So you need to be quiet. Being mean to other people, other kids, I do not like it. I say that every time. Like, this is a safe space. We don't have mean girls. We don't have mean boys, because then I'm going to feel like I need to get on you. So let's treat each other kindly. And then cursing. I cannot stand hearing a child curse, because I do not curse at children. Like, so I'm not gonna be cursing around you. Why you think that we homegirls and you think you my homie, where you could just curse in casual conversation when you talking to me, or even letting me hear you curse? Like, why are you in my classroom cursing while you talking to your friend and I'm in earshot? Are you okay? Like, are you cool? I do not play that, and it's kind of inconsistent, and I understand that. Like, some people don't care. They feel like they have other things that they need to worry about. Some people are trying to be cool. Some people curse themselves. I don't know. There are a multitude of reasons why other adults do not care about children cursing. But me, I'm from a time and a community where that just was not allowed. Like, I'm grown. I don't even cuss in front of my daddy. Like, it's no, like, what are we doing here? So kids cursing is a no-no for me, and I'm going to correct it every time. And other people are going to correct it. So even in the hallway when kids are cursing and they see me, they do that look, or they hear their friends cursing, they're like, you can't cuss in front of Miss Griffin. Thank you. Thank you for showing me that respect. And I have to tell them, like, talk like a lady. Like, right now you sound like a hood rat. Or, hey, you're a gentleman. You shouldn't be cursing in front of ladies. Like, you see me, right? Let's act like we have some couth, okay? So yeah, always on a field trip, act like you have some sense. But in the mall, I have to have specific guidelines, because I chaperoned the senior class trip, and this girl stole a Gatorade, and that was so embarrassing because we had to go to the tent and get her, because why are you out here stealing, girl? So I always tell them, don't steal. Like, if you don't have the money, don't steal, because I'm going to leave you here and I'm not going to be dealing with this. We're going to go back to the school, and your guardians are going to have to settle this, because we don't do that. And then Um, yeah, so yesterday, one of the kids, he likes being around me, but he also is inappropriate sometimes. So he like slips, and I have to, hey, remember my rules. This not your regular class, baby. We over here. Um, so I was giving my spiel, and they all know it, and I'll upload this video too. But they all know it, so they're like, all right, she about to do her little pep talk, and so I'm telling them all the rules and stuff for people who have never been on the field trip with me, and he's like talking, and I was like, y'all better tell them to shut up. Like, y'all know I don't like people talking when I'm talking, so you can hear them in the background like, whoo, like, be quiet, be quiet, be quiet. So I'm like, sweetheart, when you with us, when you with my crew, when in Rome, yeah, so get it together. So yeah, when you bring other children into your fold and those become your babies, they have to get acclimated to your rules. Like, we not doing what you doing on the other side of the building or in this classroom. Like, here we have structure, discipline, and rules. Like, we act like children and an adult is present. Like, I will laugh and joke with you all. You can tell me about your lives, whatever, but we're not friends at all. And I'm still in a professional setting. Like, this is my job. So, like, let's act accordingly. So anyway, I know I said that I was gonna have some music this time, but I am not yet. I'm going to talk about this book. This is Vocal Faults by James McKinney, and it is a wonderful, wonderful book. I love this book. My teacher in our undergrad class, I forgot the name of it, but you know, my bachelor's degree is in vocal performance, so we had to take a lot of classes pertaining to singing and choosing repertoire and things like that. And I'm so glad that my degree was in performance because I can really help people sing better, which is a great tool because I teach choir. So yeah, this is a great book. There are a lot of different chapters about posture, breathing, phonation, resonation. So you can talk about the different resonators, like, and actually use the correct terms. So like your larynx, your pharynx. It talks about your tracheal tree, like as a resonator. So those types of things. And I feel like as educators, we need to make sure that we are using the correct terminology with our students as well, because they trust us. They don't know any better. So they are really taking our word for whatever it is that we're telling them to be true. So I don't want to hear any more of let's sing from our diaphragm, because that's not possible. So you know how people will say like, oh, your bones are just big. You just big boned it. That's not possible. So we need to make sure that we're intentional about saying the correct thing when we are teaching our students. Yeah, so that they know. So, breathing and support, that's what I want to talk about today. And this book is really, really good because they talk about the vocal faults of each of these different categories. And then they also give you corrections for it. So it's really, really great. And breathing is just the basis of all good singing. So it's really, really important that you teach your students how to breathe correctly and that they're using these breathing techniques when they are performing. So the first one that they identify is upper chest breathing, and that is also known as clavicular breathing. And that's when you see movements from your chest. So you're breathing from here often, and we know that that is learned behavior because if you actually pay attention to younger children, they breathe correctly. So they have learned over time to breathe from their chest or to breathe using their shoulders. So they learn to breathe incorrectly, just like bad posture is learned, because little kids, if you look at them, they really are doing everything correctly until the world corrupts them. So yeah, and its characteristic feature is that the chest rises during inhalation and falls during exhalation. So it is undesirable because it limits the downward travel of the diaphragm. It wastes energy and is physically tiring because the effort expended in raising the chest is a lot. Okay. It's often associated with poor posture, okay? And it is also inefficient. It tends to be shallow breathing as well, okay? So they also identify rib breathing, and they say, unlike upper chest, seldom occurs naturally. It is a method passed on by teachers to their students. So, again, we as teachers and directors and vocal coaches really have to make sure that we're intentional about what we're showing our kids or what we're modeling, as well as what we're telling them in terms of how we want them to sing correctly and efficiently. So, we often know what we want the ending result to be or what we want our product to be, but a lot of times we don't know how to correctly explain it to students or to tell them how to get there because we're old and we've been doing this for a while, so we know what it should sound like or we know what it should look like, but we really don't understand how we got there or how to tell them how to get there. And a lot of that is because a lot of older teachers were using incorrect terminology or metaphors that didn't make sense just to get you where you needed to be, instead of properly educating us so that we understand truly how things are happening within our body. Because as vocalists, our entire body is our instrument, so it's a little different for us. So for rib breathing, the rib cage should expand during inhalation, and the rib cage does expand. The problem is that it's made the sole object of the act of expansion, thus limiting or eliminating expansion in other areas. So you're really only worried about that one spot, and then it becomes a fixation, and then you're not breathing in other areas like you should. So, one possible asset of rib breathing is that it is often associated with good posture. Unfortunately, the good posture may be out of military variety, exemplified by the two commands: suck in your gut and squeeze your shoulder blades together until they touch. But those can cause tensional faults, which this book also talks about. So it's undesirable because, again, it limits the downward travel of the diaphragm. It wastes energy as well. It's physically tiring, and tension in the muscles of the chest, ribs, and shoulders may be transmitted to the neck area and the vocal mechanism. Okay, so they give you corrective procedures for that as well. Back breathing has much in common with rib breathing and could be considered another manifestation of it, but there's one difference. The primary objective of rib breathing is to expand the rib cage. In back breathing, the expansion is in the back itself. And again, there's no problem with that, but you need to do it in a way that it does not limit your breathing in other areas. Okay. So again, too much concentration on expanding the back and you're not focused on other areas. Okay. So the back and ribs should expand during inhalation, but so should the upper abdomen. Okay. And it is undesirable for the same reasons. And also, if the shoulders are pulled forward, it is posturally weak. And then the fourth kind of breathing fault is belly breathing. And they say it's in a class by itself, having little in common with the others, but they also have the same undesirable traits. So it limits the downward travel of the diaphragm. Oh no, the other ones limit the downward travel, but belly breathing does not. It limits the ability for it to move upward during exhalation. So some students are instructed to take a deep breath and then push out against your belt while you sing, but unfortunately this locks the diaphragm in the lowest position to which it is not descended and allowing it to make it, it locks it in its lowest position to which it has descended, and it doesn't allow it to return as air is expended. Okay, so that's another element of truth being made the basis of a faulty system. So the disadvantages of this kind of breathing: again, it restricts the upward travel of your diaphragm. It results in poor posture, so a sunken chest and protruding abdomen. It severely limits breath support for the upper voice, and it can result in tone quality and vibrato problems. So I will talk about the corrective procedures for this one. It is postural. So most of the time when you fix the posture, you can fix the belly breathing. It's almost impossible to belly breathe if these postural elements are maintained. Comfortably high chest, spinal stretch, and straight back. Because the belly breather already knows how to get a full descent of the diaphragm on inhalation and expansion around the middle of the body, now they must be convinced that they do not need to push out against the belt. So again, we have to make sure that we're being intentional about what we're saying to our students, because I'm I'm that type of person too. I've heard that all the time, like use your diaphragm, use your diaphragm. But they're saying it like breathe from your diaphragm, breathe from your diaphragm. Like, and I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I don't know what that means, first of all, anyway, until college when I started looking at the anatomy of the voice and the parts of the body that we use all together, and they're showing me the diaphragm and how it works and stuff, and then they're like, well, you can really only breathe from your lungs, like, so we have to stop saying breathe from your diaphragm. So you can say that you need to use your diaphragm in tandem with other things, or like they said, you want to make sure that you're not telling people to push against their belt while they're singing, because kids have a mindset of what that means to them, and it's different for everybody, but for some people it can be detrimental to their development as a singer. So you just want to make sure, again, that you're not saying things incorrectly. So I try to tell my students all the time, like, if I see your shoulders moving while you're breathing, that means that you're probably breathing shallow. I don't want to see this while you're breathing, because again, that means that you're breathing shallow. The, I guess, the visual that I use, and I'm not sure where I heard this from, but I thought it was a really, really good example. When you're blowing up a balloon and you blow into the balloon and the balloon expands, and then when you're letting out the air, the balloon deflates. And that is kind of how our body works when we're trying to use our breath to support our tone. So not that you necessarily need to see your chest go out, because again, that's not getting a really good deep breath. You're not going to get a very large expansion on your balloon like that. If you're blowing and you don't get a good breath, your balloon is not going to blow up really big. Another teacher, she used a term called the breath belt, and she would say you're not only using your diaphragm, but you're also using all of your muscles around here and making sure that you're feeling that expansion all around. And I love that, because again, we don't want to focus on just one aspect of breathing, because then students will hyper focus on that instead of the entire process of breathing and all of the muscles that you have to use together. So we just have to do a little bit better as teachers, because we're vocal coaches. We're trying to make sure that our students are improving as singers in an individual manner and as a collective. And we just have to make sure that we're teaching them correctly and that we're doing our best with terminology and I was about to say correcting measures, but that sounds weird. So teaching them the right way to correct their vocal faults. So we want to make sure that we are knowledgeable as well. So if you, I don't necessarily, well, I do feel like people needed the performance aspect, because a lot of people focused on the education aspect and they're missing how to diagnose these things in musicians, because they were not really taught to do that. Like, you were taught to teach, but you don't really know how to perform that well. So you can't really help somebody perform that well. Like, you know how to direct, you know how to conduct, you know how to read music, of course, but do you know how to make somebody a better musician? Do you know how to correct tone? Do you know how to correct pitch? Do you know how to, you know? So we just have to be honest about our limitations and then do our best to fix those and to get better as we grow older in our careers, because we want to create lifelong learners, but we also want them to practice good habits, because you know they say perfect practice not necessarily just practice makes perfect, because you can continue to practice the wrong thing over and over again, and it's so much harder to break bad habits that somebody has had ingrained in them. So yeah, I hope this was helpful. I don't really even know if they still sell this book, because this was from undergrad, which was a very long time ago. But if you can get your hands on this book, I would say get it. It is absolutely great. I'll talk some more about this next time. And, you know, I'm not going to go through the entire book because copyright and stuff like that. I don't want to do the author like that. But shout out, Mr. James. You did that, okay? Yeah, and I need to dive in this a little bit more too, just to refresh, because I have a lot of students that need help with different things, and I always try to do different things each year, so I need to kind of switch it up and stay fresh as well. So yeah, thanks for watching and listening. I appreciate you. Yeah, so today I have on my God is Dope hoodie. I love this hoodie. I love the concept. And yeah, I love God. You don't love God? What's wrong with you? Like, you know, you gotta represent. Just some little cargos that I got from Amazon, and then my nines. Like these shoes, you know. And yeah, I think I look cute. And my puff is puffing. I'm gonna switch up my hairstyle for next week, but I have no idea to what. But yeah, let me know what things you want to discuss vocally, talking about education, the classroom, just topics that we face as music educators, because I have stories for days and they are related to music and they are not. And as an educator, we already know what time it is. So yeah, thank you. I appreciate you, and stay safe.